Welcome. Right. So I think this is going to be quite an engaging conversation because one of the aspects that they wanted us to discuss was what was it like to make a production using modern technology, just to fill the other two ladies in. When we were contracted or when we received the funding from Rehearsal to do this project, it was very much pre-COVID, and I recruited Zimkita to do a production in the normal, conventional sense. We thought, right, we would do this play. We would take two girls from South Africa and two girls from Zimbabwe. And the two girls from Zimbabwe would come to South Africa and rehearse for a bit. And then we would go to Zimbabwe and rehearse a bit. And then there was a festival, I think in April, that we would present the play at. And then hopefully later in July, we would present the play at the Free State Festival. Well, of course, everything was turned upside down. But we decided as Sabiqua to go ahead and to try and make this into a digital experience. And so we braved it. No one ever had this kind of experience of how we were going to put everything together. And I ran away and left it all on to Zimkita's broad shoulders to try and fathom it all out. Working in the SADC region and with other countries is not easy. Different attitudes, different mentalities, and above all,
Phyllis? Am I still audible?
Yes, you are. And I see Phyllis is frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. So yes, I'm just gonna, pick it up from there, and I know she'll, further elaborate from that point of view too. So it was an interesting process. Like she said, we had to, come up with new strategies and definitely find new ways of adapting to the new normal, as we all like calling it. It was very interesting. I mean, this time, auditioning, the auditioning process was different altogether. I had to, check, we did an audition call out, but now people had to submit videotapes and video clips of, specific auditions, auditioning from their own monologues that they had to prepare. And also just, just different kind of monologues to kind of see what they, they diversity, in terms of performance looks like in very short video clips as well, because of, data issues, and the size sometimes is also an issue, and things that we needed to think about as well, in terms of, putting together everything. But it was very much, a collaborating effort, from both, countries, where I, where I couldn't, come up with a plan, everybody else came together to offer suggestions about how we can make the audition process a little bit quicker, and also, also sufficient in terms of what we were looking for from the actors. And after that, there was the callback situation. Doing callbacks was also interesting because now I had to do them via Zoom, and it obviously, missed certain things. You doing auditions, when you're auditioning someone, especially for a theater production, you want to see their energy, you want to see how, you want to work with them, you want to throw them some, you know, exercises, some exploration exercises. You want to do these things during an audition, in terms of callbacks. You want to play some improv games, but none of these were really that possible. So there's so much I could, you know, find in this little time. And obviously I couldn't stretch it too much because, again, I'm calling them for this, you know, short moment, this one time, and there's data. Data is a real thing, and connection wise, you know, there was a time when I was auditioning one of the actors, and the connection stopped. They frozen, and now I had to make a plan, and you know, wait and come back again, try to build up the momentum again. So already this was foretelling the issues that I would come across when I'm directing this play slash, you know, a virtual theater show, slash, there's so many ways to call it, you know, because that was also another thing I had to kind of, you know, figure out, you know, during this process is, what do we call it when it is like this? Because I still want to keep the essence of it being a play, you know, I still want it to be theater, but also it's being filmed for an audience that will watch it online. It's for online consumption most of the time. So what's the plan, you know? So those questions were already, you know, running through my head, you know, so they were already happening, you know, while I was doing the audition process. And when we were done with that, I ended up with Dineo Kumane from South Africa, Utisha Rakaki from South Africa as well. Then from Zimbabwe, there was Shamaine Mudau, as well as Agnes Ncube. And they're a stellar cast and they're amazing. There were challenges here and there, you know, because of communication, because again, we are not using the ordinary medium. I have to find ways of rehearsing, find ways of, you know, pulling through with improvisation games without, you know, taking too much time in this online space. Again, always have to think about at the back of our heads that data will be an issue. You know, the time spent, you know, looking into a screen and still trying to perform and still trying to communicate is also, you know, very tiring. You know, we use screen, but that is a real thing too, which I discovered during the rehearsal process. We used anything at some point. I mean, we used Zoom in the beginning, you know, and we were able to record some of the sessions as well. And this was it, by the time, you know, we hit our third session and fourth session, that's when I got to see these challenges, you know, and the connectivity was constantly an issue. And sometimes you find that maybe Zoom in this, you know, in terms of the time or maybe connectivity issues was not, you know, working. So we had to move to WhatsApp. And then we use, you know, the WhatsApp videos by any means necessary. We're using whatever means necessary that we have to communicate, you know, to make it a little bit simpler. Although the Zoom was more, you know, effective in terms of, you know, recording the process so that, you know, we're able to kind of, you know, reflect a little bit better when we're moving forward in this rehearsal process. So, and it's not just directing, mind you, for this show. We are devising, you know, I'm coming up with the concept, you know, it keeps on getting refined, you know, over time. I'm also trying to write, you know, the play, all in all. During this process, I'm trying to, you know, use all these hats while conducting a directing, you know, this directing and conducting this process of, you know, this online rehearsal. And so I used any situation. I mean, the first thing, I think, even for, you know, before we even understood the scripts that, you know, would come out, or the work that would come out, you know, from this process. The first thing I had to identify is the blocking, you know, and how, and I wanted to see how I could use their, you know, designated rehearsal space to conduct a rehearsal. And it was so intense because it, I remember, you know, with, you know, Utisha, it was the noise. There's a noise, you know, from her window. So she has to always work with, you know, the fact that her apartment is directly next to the taxi rank, and you keep on hearing pop, 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 you know, hooting and the craziness of, you know, downtown city. And then you have Dineo, hers, you know, was a situation of getting the right connectivity. And, you know, and we just found a nice spot that had moments where it could turn into a silhouette situation, which kind of, you know, gave me a lot of ideas about how I'd like to approach the story, and triggered a storyline actually, and the concept as well, because I kept on seeing these silhouettes when they were moving, because sometimes the light was, you know, shining bright, and sometimes it was not, and it was, you know, hovered by this, you know, shadow of, you know, the curtain. So it kind of, you know, triggered ways of how I could manipulate the situation. And if we were never going to get out of lockdown, my I already had a backup for that. If we were going to be indoors until the day we need to submit the story, I had a backup for that as well. So the plan was to use, you know, the spaces that they have, and just, you know, go for it, you know, hold down a show. And it was, my mind had to race really, and think, you know, we already think, you know, on the spot when you're director, but, you know, you were really now racing, you know, and trying to keep up with everything. As the same, you know, challenges, similar challenges as well from Zim, with Agnes and Charmaine. Because also we have to understand that sometimes, you know, connectivity is a huge issue. Data issues are a real thing. And so we had to work around with that. We had to work around with the spaces that they had. And sometimes they would share a phone, just so, you know, they're in the same, they happen to be in the same, you know, area. So it was almost, you know, simple to work from there. But also it was not enough, because now there's certain things I needed from the one actor that I couldn't get now, because they were both using the same phone. So there were challenges such as that. But you realize that the driving force is, we're here to tell a story, and this is storytelling at the end of the day. And storytelling through time always found a way to kind of like, you know, be showcased. And a lot of things, you know, popped up in my head, that in actual fact that theater has survived so many things. Theater survived TV, theater survived the internet, theater survived so many things, and theater survived, you know, a lockdown, because we managed to tell ourselves that we're going to tell a story and work with the mediums that we have, the technology that we have, to kind of push it through to the next, you know, era, you know, the next post-COVID, if you may. So we really pushed, and there are a lot of ideas that came from the actors. They were always, you know, sharing their ideas in terms of how to make the process easier. They would come up, and they were, you know, they were very, it was a very good space, you know, to share ideas and bounce off easier ways of working with the situation that we had. So but it came with its challenges. Connectivity, you know, the best I would have, if it was a good day, because normally, you know, rehearsal is per day, you know, standard contracts, you know, they usually go to 8 hours. You know, the cast is there maybe for 2 weeks to 4 weeks in the rehearsal space, and they have time with the director for at least 8 hours in that day. I had to make things work with whatever time connectivity thought it was okay for me to have time. So it was a case of if I only had 3 hours that day, then it's 3 hours. If I only had 1 hour with the cast that day, then that's 1 hour. Then that's it. And it's true. We were allowed, we were pushed through in terms of expressing ourselves, visually in that sense, and we pushed through with that. So it's the same thing. Like in terms of the hours, I had to make them work and get the best from the actors so that they are not robbed from the process as well, so that they also understand the process, the project that we are coming together with, the storyline, the characters that we need to come up with. So there was a lot of catching up as well, So in the process, I also emphasized a lot. I had a lot of individual one-on-ones with the actors to make the process, kind of sit in terms of, characterization, because I felt like I needed to really, put that one out, because at the end of the day, they might not be in the same space when the time came. And so I had to really emphasize on their characterization. And obviously it meant that the writing had to support that. We had to discuss in depth who these people were that we were portraying, these 4 women, who are essentially one woman. If it could be any woman. So that's why they all variation in the play. They vary 4 variations of one woman. Sarah, Saroro, and Queen Ra. They variations of Sarah, basically. So yeah, it's creativity-wise. I won't lie. I was having a ball. I was really, really excited about that. And it's true, raising those issues was very important for me. Raising the issues of, GBV in terms of this storyline as well. Because again, yes, we are looking at the influence of, the phones and social media and how that pressurizes everyone to keep up with the social standards, keeping up, with everyone who has, all these riches, etc. But we often overlook how people get all that money and where the pressure actually really comes from, and the sticky situations some of these, young women, find themselves in, because all in the name of trying to look a certain way, to influence a certain lifestyle. And obviously this lifestyle has really been pushed by social media, and if you look at anything, everywhere, it's really been the pushing, it's been the real factor behind, these women finding themselves, the woman in the story, in the Amavuso project. It's been, yeah, one of the causes of that. It's the pressure. It's really the pressure from that kind of influence on social media, and the pressures of money, as well. So it's a concoction, and most of these situations boil into, these toxic relationships, which in this case with the Amavuso project, it was the relationship between the blessee, and we couldn't, unpack every single detail, every little situation that happens, but basically the essence, of, the psyche behind it, also how, the thinking, and at the end of the day, how it, it also is some of, not even some, it causes a lot of depression for a lot of people to kind of live that way. So
can I butt in there, please? Zamkita, can you hear me?
Sorry, yes? You back? Great.
Zamkita?
Yes.
Now I'm back, I'm out, I'm in, the story of my life. Okay. No, I just wanted you to discuss your, in terms of this, at the end, of course, Queen Ra commits suicide, and the general picture is not a very happy one, okay? But, and I know that in some circumstances, the picture is not a very happy one. So I'm interested to know why you didn't explore the happy avenues, because there are some happy avenues.
There are a lot of
The girls go through.
There's,
Maybe they.
I think there's a lot of happy. There's traveling to Paris. There's traveling to Lagos. There's traveling to all these lovely destinations, to Dubai. And we realize that she's always in these lovely places. And she always mentions how she just bought this and just bought that. She always mentions the fact that she is, advertising a new swim line, her new bikini, her new hairstyle. Oh, and she's scrubbing her skin this way and that way. All that, cosmetic beauty involved, with her lifestyle, which absolutely looks like fun, really looks like fun for her. But she talks about it like it is a lot of fun. And she's traveling to these lovely destinations. And you would think that just because of that, she should be happy. I mean, this should, make you very, very happy. You having all these, this material wealth is around you. You can access it, and you're able to travel the world, and yet you are still not content with yourself. So it's speaking to a lot of things. I had to tap into that side because we've seen, well, not we, all of us, but there have been a lot of situations where you find, in general, influencers on, social media or any of these places, they on all these social platforms, where they come out and they tell you how beautiful things are and how great they are. And then my guess is that they really living it up, and we're always bombarded by this image all the time. I mean, all the time. You check any of these platforms, everybody's trying to, show that they living better than the next person, or they living their best life. And it's always in our face. It's always constantly in our face when you check online. But you never see the other side. No one wants to check out that side. No one wants to see behind the material wealth. What is that journey about? What is this person going through? This influencer who could be a person, who's going through 1, 2, and 3. We never really get to see the reality. And most, teens usually, get depressed by seeing how everybody is living their best life, forgetting that also are human and they go through things, but nobody wants to put that out. So it was very important for me to put out this other side, this one.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yes, it was very important for me to expose that.
Am I right in understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. So Zemkita, just hold on. Am I right, Karen, in understanding Stephanie doesn't have audio connection?
Oh.
No, she does now.
Hello? Okay, she does. So for the two ladies who are in this conversation, what did you think of the standpoint, the moral and the values that were put across ultimately in the piece? What did you ladies think?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
From my side, as Zimkita said, we saw the other side. Sometimes we see people, we see women, and as women, we judge each other a lot. But at the end, we don't know what exactly made you as a woman to go, like to take that path. It's because of the pressure, as you are saying. So I've seen that on Amavuso with Queen Ra. it's because of the pressure, because she loved the life of having everything, so she had to do certain things. So for me, I got a little bit of understanding of why other women go through certain things. It's not because they want to, it's because of pressure, or sometimes it's because of needing some things. Yeah.
Okay. Stephanie, what did you think?
Thanks, Phyllis. So I share the same sentiment. You know, I think that it's based on the experiences and whatever they had to go through. And the decisions that they lead to now always makes them think, have they chosen the right path? Based on their circumstances, was this the right step? And I think it's very, interesting to see how much courage one actually gets from their past experience. So I share the same sentiments as the previous speaker, and yeah, those are my contributions. Thanks, Phyllis.
And the two of you, okay, because this is the first time that this has been aired publicly, just how did you receive it? What did you think?
The first person that spoke was Vumile, so Sophia hasn't said anything yet.
Sophia, so how did you receive this?
Hello. Well, I agree with what's been said, especially the showing the reality of what actually happens when people go through that process. And I think that the sad thing that I kind of got from the film was the fact that in as much as this narrative may be told by different people trying to show you what the other side looks like, people still want to pursue it and still want to see it for themselves per se, and not necessarily take that experience and be like, okay, maybe I should pursue something else. So yeah, I really loved the ending particularly. Yeah.
You like the little girl. Generally, I mean, I'm just asking you, what did you think of it? Okay, how did it speak to you? Did you find it too short? Did you find it too long? How generally did you ladies receive it? Because we need feedback.
Okay, for me, it's something that could be taken to the theater, because I understand where it is screened now. It's just screened. No one, like, there's no audience. People are just watching it. So I think it has a potential to go on in a theater and be, and as Phyllis said, extend, when we were asking Uzimkita, extend the story. We see them then, because we've only seen the sad parts and the frustrating parts, but see the maybe a happy ending.
You like happy endings for me.
Yeah.
We all like happy endings. It's just a pity it doesn't always happen. Hey, Stephanie?
I
Stephanie?
think so as well. Phyllis, people really think that every story has to have a happy ending, but I don't think that's necessarily true, because the reality on the ground is that if every story had to have a happy ending, we won't be addressing some of the issues that come forth. But I really think that it can be taken to theater. I think it should be, given the circumstances that we're in with COVID, I know it might be virtual, but it's something that we can plan ahead for, maybe in the next year, upcoming year, seeing how COVID actually unfolds, and give people that ability to go and watch it live on theater, and allow the characters to come out, and express their visuals, express their feelings. And I think it was a nice story. I think it was okay in terms of the timing. It was precise, and I think it had a key message in it as well. Thanks, Phyllis.
Thank you, ladies. We've got a couple of minutes more. Are there any other questions you would like to ask?
I had a question. I wanted to know from Zimkita, what do you think was lost and what do you think was gained in the process of having to translate it from what would have been a live theatre performance to the digital platforms?
Woo, yeah. Look, with digital, I always say it's the audience. I've gained an audience. Like for a story, we've gained an audience, a larger audience. People who might have not seen the show get to see the show. It's a wider, variation. Like people get to, see, stories, for me, that's the most important thing, making sure that our shows are seen, and not just, for that one time and then we never see the play again. So for me, that was important. And also from a digital point of view, what we also gained was showing, that gray area between film and theater for me was an interesting as experiment, because in some moments you can feel that, okay, this almost feels like it's a film, and then just like that we're in a space where it's open and it's theater all over again. It's this, it's this set, with the big, canvas pictures that we, set up there, and the chairs, the bed, things like that, that come with the theater. For me, seeing them from, visually looking into it, it looked so beautiful, and the lighting, complemented everything. So to watch a theater production from that point of view and not seeing it live, I think I've already enjoyed some plays that I've seen before. So seeing, the show the show in that light as well, it gave me a new interest in terms of virtual theater as a place to watch theater shows, and for us to really, really explore some more and take out, more ideas and push through those ideas and put them in that space. Because what's lovely to watch is the design, the lighting, how it comes about. And it's things that you won't see when you're watching the show live. You might not recognize these details that, film picks up. So I enjoyed that kind of experience, that when we were all going through the post-editing, the post-production, session. It was a long, session, but it was very worth it, because I got to see things. I saw things differently, for the very first time, and I think I appreciated theater a little bit more, and I understand why film is, amazing as well too. So theater-wise, of course, it's the live audience. Of course, it's the clapping. It's the, immediate reaction for certain scenes that you get to experience when the audience is watching the show. From a director's point of view, it's the acting, for me, the storytelling, watching the story develop from one moment to the next and not missing those beats, and, the energy that you can see is being transferred from one actor to the next, how they deliver those lines, and you getting to feel that in that moment, you getting to experience the light hitting you, and going and opening up for a character. Those are the little things that I miss, being in a space like that. I terribly, terribly miss that. But virtual, that one, and obviously it is important that I realize that also, that it's important, some of these, a little bit shorter, because the minute it's, too long, again, you have to realize it is a theater. So there's only so much to take out, we have to just bring it in just enough for everyone to say, okay, in terms of to understand the story, but appreciate the stylized way of telling the story too, which obviously, came with also theater. I think with the virtual theater, it came methods that seem really new right now. I mean, for Amavuso project specifically, I was referencing a lot of unorthodox, film directors, but not like film directors, like your Andy Warhol, you know, and the way your Basquiat, Jean-Marie Basquiat's, Michelle's Basquiat's, my process of trying to see how I can now incorporate this theater show and, you know, use these techniques that were used back then to kind of further emphasize the story that I'm trying to tell from a visual point of view.
Sorry,
That will be,
Peter,
you know,
we're gonna have to
yeah.
Leave it there and round up because time is up.
Yeah.
But I think just to add on what you said, I think actually at the end of the day, what we presented was a hybrid of movie techniques
Yes.
and movie and theater, because if we were in the theater, we'd still have, and we wanted to have the little girl at the end, we'd still maybe have to use a film or get the little girl there back on.
That was the image.
So yeah,
that was definitely the image. That she was supposed to appear on this, you know, in a graphic sense, like on the wall, you know, using the projection, you know, and obviously just using that light to kind of, you know, project, and how we project her as well in the space. So, but it's yeah, everything
it's
will
a
be
hybrid, and I think for those like not engaged professionally in the performing arts, like it is a time for all of us of experimentation and learning and trying to resolve some issues. Whether we go back to the theater per se within the next year or two remains to be seen. I definitely, for instance, wanted to go and see something on Friday night, but chose not to go because I just felt a confined space, our comorbidities, etc. No. So I'm afraid in the theater, we're going to have a very, very rough time. I'd just like to say thank you to Zimkita for giving us the backstory, and to the Urban Festival for the opportunity to screen Amavuso. And I hope that it was enlightening, enjoyable, and informative experience. Thank you.